Well, look what the calendar dragged in today. It's Dating Sim Appreciation Day. There's no existential crisis on this fine day, just a little game that you might have seen in my videos before. Pocket Love was developed by a company called KID, short for Kindle Imagine Develop. You might be more familiar with some of the later titles they created before declaring bankruptcy in 2006. But before buying the farm, they created a trilogy of dating sims, starting in 1997 with the first game for the Game Boy. A year later came Pocket Love 2, a direct sequel taking place 2 months after the end of the first game. It adds 3 new heroines, and involves the protagonist receiving a suspicious letter that causes a giant misunderstanding and nukes your relationship with the girls back into the frenemy zone. Then another year later came Pocket Love If for the Neo Geo Pocket, which takes place a year before the first game. As a result of this, some of the previous heroines don't appear, but you do have 2 new ones. I'll focus on the first game, but they all play pretty much the same, so most of what I'll say in this video applies to all of them. The biggest difference is that If develops the dating mechanics a bit, by having things like going to multiple places and choosing your clothes, as well as having different rankings for your relationships. Oh, and it's also the most spicy. You play as an average high school student in his second year at the Koigahara High School, and you swear to yourself to make some friends and a friend that is also a girl. You begin by picking a name, birthday and a blood type, which influences your starting stats, and then you're sent straight into your first day. The game starts in April and spans the rest of the year, ending at Christmas Eve. During that period, you have to manage your free time, juggling your social life, your income and your studies. The game is separated into weekdays, from Monday to Saturday, and into weekends and holidays. For each day, you select activities to work hard at and activities to just work at. What you do with your free time affects your stats, which are academics, style, fitness, skill, health and sense. These activities include things like studying and playing video games, as well as enrolling in one of the school clubs or working part-time at the local burger joint on Wednesdays, Saturdays and weekends. You get 100 yen every day, but flipping burgers is the best way to earn lots of money. These activities change your stats in positive and negative ways. If you spend all day every day studying, your fitness will lower over time, whereas if you spend all your free time playing sports, then your academics will suffer. You can't have your cake and eat it. And if your health stat drops too low, you'll be exhausted and forced to do nothing but rest for a while. On weekends and holidays, you have a couple of additional options, such as inviting girls to dates. You call them and they either refuse or they accept, in which case you can then choose the location and the time. They can also be called to the park so that you can give them a present. These presents can be acquired by going out to Koigahara City. Alone. One of the key locations is the shopping mall, where you can spend your money on various items. Besides the presents, there's items that give you useful information like popular dating spots, as well as useful items like a pager and other things that aren't quite as prevalent today as they were in 1997. The important thing is to strike the right balance to reach your goals. Working hard on improving yourself catches the attention of the people around you. Not all stats will impress every girl, but scoring top grades on exams or having the sexiest karaoke voice in the city is one way to headshot a girl's heart. There are many other ways to improve your relationship with each heroine, like helping them when they need it, or simply showering them in gifts and inviting them on dates every weekend, since there's no police to stop you from stalking them. So let's stalk them a bit. Ruruna is the poster girl and your old childhood friend who ended up in the same class as you again after a long time. She likes to go shopping or to do handicrafts, and she's the popular girl that every male within 100 light-year radius has a crush on. Mizuki is one of your classmates, an energetic tomboy who loves playing and watching sports, as well as watching the stars at night. Yumi is the third-year upperclassman who works at the same burger joint that you can work part-time at. Her hobby is simply walking around on sunny days, going wherever she wants to. Then you have the Morizono twins, a pair of transfer students whose personalities couldn't be more different. Mari is the social, outspoken girl who likes fashion, partying and karaoke, while Miri is more reserved and prefers spending her free time studying and reading books. Suzune is even more shy and reserved, with her best friend being her pet turtle. She's also your underclassman at school and is terrible at sports. Finally, you have Momoyo, the cheeky gamer girl who spends all her free time on the arcade and likes video games more than her fellow humans. And boy are these girls stubborn. Don't be surprised to see them dismiss you at the start. It takes a while for their cold, number-driven hearts to open up and let you see their 8-bit anime titties. To be perfectly honest, even after dozens of runs, I still haven't totally figured out how the mechanics work, and there's barely any information out there about the game, and the little that there is just confirms my suspicions that courting the girls in this game is harder than in real life. The key elements are to have high stats, to accept invitations for lunch and similar, and to spam the hell out of them with dates and presents. But early on it kind of feels like nothing you do is making much progress and just ends up making your relationships worse, even though it's probably not. It creates this weird gap at the start of the game, where you have some obviously right choices that result in a very positive reaction, whereas in the generic gameplay events they basically tell you to bugger off until your relationship improves. And rest assured, the game is more than happy to throw a wrench in the middle. Between dealing with your studies and balancing your stats, you can expect to get tripped up by unexpected events. There's a calendar so you can prepare for things like exams, but nothing will save your ass from frustratingly realistic drama, like going home together with one girl and then meeting another in the middle. Or like when it's the day before a girl's birthday and they ask for a present, but you don't have 5,000 yen on hand to satisfy their consumerism. But hey, at least the game looks good while smashing your balls. It's mostly comprised of static images and a bunch of text, but the backgrounds are detailed and the girls look cute as hell. Though there's definitely some repetition, with minor events like the girls gossiping showing up more than necessary. The dialogue is also exclusively displayed in hiragana, which makes reading it kind of a pain. This can likely be attributed to the Game Boy's space limitations, which is why it's interesting that the first two games tried to work around this with a separate second edition that came with a CD. The CDs included vocal theme songs, as well as tracks that included voices for a handful of special scenes. The gist of it is that you synchronized your CD player to the automatically scrolling text on the Game Boy, getting voiced dialogue at the same time. It's as clunky as it gets, but points for effort. Besides that, Pocket Love is really as bog standard as it gets for the genre. The main appeal was simply that it was a dating sim on your Game Boy. Like seriously, how cool is that? Dating sims mostly existed in non-portable systems, and even then not many had the same luck as Konami's Big Chungus. The only 15 minutes of fame that this short-lived series had in the past 2 decades was a parody in a 2018 anime called Slow Start. Unlike Tokimeki Memorial, which people actually still remember, and eventually got its own port for the Game Boy, which was split into 2 versions because of course it was. Nowadays, the rights to Pocket Love belong to 5PB, and presumably they don't have any plans for it anytime soon, but they certainly have been around the block until that happened. When Kid went tits up back in 2006, All of their properties were acquired by Cyberfront, who themselves went bankrupt in 2013, and Kaga Create snapped up their IPs, before also going bankrupt in 2018. And then 5PB Games came along and bought everything. And that's the story of a cute little game from an era where the dating sim still properly existed as its own genre. Nowadays, if you want to date pixels, you have many different choices out there, as romancing options have become more commonplace throughout all kinds of games, especially RPGs. But sometimes nothing quite beats sticking your hand in your pocket and enjoying the simplicity of everyday school life.